No skull, no skeleton, no fossil. By the old museum rules, this population should not exist. But scientists found a gap no bone had ever filled. They did not dig it up. They found its trace in living human DNA. An unknown human population, gone without leaving a body behind. So where do you find a human population with no bones? Normally, this is the easy part. You find a relative of ours by finding what they left behind. A skull in a cave, a jaw in a riverbed, a tool in the dirt. Bone first, story second. That is how the whole field has worked for 200 years. But you cannot dig up something that left nothing. So scientists did the opposite. Instead of starting with a body and working toward us, they started with us, with the DNA of people living right now, and worked backward. The idea is simple, even if the math is not. Every living genome is a kind of archive. Folded inside it are traces of the people who came before, stacked across thousands of generations. Read it carefully enough, and you are not just looking at one person. You are looking at everyone behind them. And buried in one of those archives, something did not belong. In 2020, 2 researchers at UCLA went looking. They focused on 4 populations in West Africa, among them the Yoruba and the Mende, and pulled together the genomes of more than 400 living people. There was a reason to look there specifically. People of European and Asian descent carry small amounts of Neanderthal DNA. People in parts of Oceania carry Denisovan DNA. West African populations carry far less of either, which made them a useful place to ask a different question. If not Neanderthal and not Denisovan, was there anything else in there at all? To find out, they could not compare the DNA to a known ancient genome, because the thing they were hunting had never been sequenced. It had no genome on file, no reference, nothing, so they had to catch it a different way. Here is how you find a ghost. You build a model of everything you already know. You take modern humans, Neanderthals, Denisovans, every population we have real data for, and you let a computer simulate how their DNA should be distributed across living people, how common each variation should be, what the pattern should look like if these were the only ingredients. Then you compare that prediction to the real genomes. If the model is complete, the prediction matches reality. The math closes. It did not close. Parts of these genomes were too different, too oddly distributed to come from any known source. The pattern only made sense if something else had contributed. A population that was not in the model because we had never known to put it there. Not a guess, not a hunch. A gap in the math, shaped exactly like a missing relative. Once they knew it was there, they could measure 2 things. First, how much? And it was not a rounding error. Between 2 and 19% of these populations' ancestry traced back to this unknown group, depending on the population and the model. At the high end, the model was not seeing a tiny trace. It was seeing something large enough to reshape the ancestry estimate for an entire population. Second, how old? And this is where it stops being a footnote and starts being strange. This population did not split away from us recently. It branched off before the line leading to Neanderthals and the line leading to modern humans had even separated from each other. So this was not a close cousin, like the Neanderthals. It was something deeper, a branch of the human family tree splitting off so early that it sat below the branches we thought were the oldest. So what was it? Here is the uncomfortable answer. We do not know. We have its genetic fingerprint and almost nothing else. No face, no skull, no name. Scientists can say it existed, and roughly how much of it survives in living people, but not what it looked like, not where it lived, not why it disappeared. Think about how odd that is. This is a real branch of the human family, close enough that our ancestors had children with it, and it is completely invisible, a relative defined entirely by its absence. The only proof it was ever real is the echo it left in someone else's DNA. And you would think that would be the strangest part of this story. It is not. Because this West African ghost is not the only one. Go further back, past Neanderthals, past Denisovans, all the way to their ancestors, and there is another gap, a deeper one. In 2020, a separate team was studying the Neanderthal and Denisovan genomes themselves, and they ran into the same kind of problem the first team had. The data did not quite fit. The ancestors of Neanderthals and Denisovans seem to carry DNA from yet another unknown population, one that had mixed into their line long before any of them met modern humans. A ghost feeding into the ancestors of two species that are themselves now extinct. A ghost behind the ghosts. And this one was older than anything we have talked about. That population had split from the rest of the human line around 2 million years ago. Not just older than Neanderthals, older than the familiar branches of the human story we usually tell. So far back that scientists can only sketch the candidate in pencil. Maybe something Homo erectus-like, one of the very first humans to walk out of Africa. Maybe a population from that same ancient world that we have not named yet. The honest answer is that the evidence points to a deep ancestor without telling us its face. Two separate teams, two different methods, two different corners of the human story, and both of them ran into the same thing, a relative they could measure, but could not see. Step back and look at what this actually means. For most of history, we pictured human evolution as a ladder, one species replacing the last, climbing in a clean line toward us. That picture is wrong. What the DNA keeps showing is not a ladder, but a braid. Separate human populations splitting apart, living on their own for hundreds of thousands of years, then meeting again and mixing. Some of them we have bones for, some of them we may never see. The ones we can name, Neanderthals, Denisovans, those are just the ghosts we got lucky with, the ones that happened to leave enough behind. Some of the others are still there, not as fossils, as fragments, scattered through the genomes of people alive today. And that changes something about the word human. We tend to think of it as a single, finished thing, one species, standing alone at the end of the line. But the deeper scientists read human DNA, the less clean that line looks. Human was never one story, it was many, separate branches, living and splitting and mixing across 2 million years. Most of them lost, some of them still echoing in living people, in pieces we are only beginning to read. We did not descend from a single thread. We are what is left when many ancient branches got tangled together, and most of the others went quiet without ever leaving a body behind. No skull, no skeleton, no fossil, just traces, still waiting in living human DNA for someone to learn how to read them.